Welcome back. We want to take a moment to show you a very special hot lap and lap of honour, in fact, for a great friend of ours and colleague here at V8 Supercars Television. That's Howard Simmons on your right-hand side of screen, going for a ride around Winton with Jason Bright and the team BOC. Now, Howie's our technical manager, has been for 16 years. He's been to every single round of the V8 Supercars, and to put it simply, if Howie wasn't around, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, and you wouldn't have seen the pictures that you've seen over the last decade and a half of V8 Supercars. So after 16 years, we tried to scare the life out of you, mate, and you still came out smiling. We'll miss you very much. That's Howie Simmons. And talk about smiling, why don't we check in for the market here on race 28. Neil Evans from Luxbet. You've always got a grin on your face. What's doing with the numbers, buddy?
Yes, thanks, Whitey. Always try to keep that grin going. Look, we saw some great action in qualifying, and the market's been very reactive to that. When we woke up this morning, Jamie Whincup was $2.40 on Luxbet to win race 28 here at Winton. Into qualifying, he sits on pole. He came back at $2.25. The punter said that's too big a price the way Whincup's going. Straight into $2.10 as we go through the Luxbet market. He's the man to beat. Vodafone teammate Craig Lowndes at $5. Mark Winterbottom, he for Ford, $4.50 into $4.25, back to $5.50 after qualifying, and a big move for Will Davison. Look out for him. $8.50 he came back after qualifying. He's been very well backed by the punters into $5.50, and as you can see from the market, a big gap to the rest. 4 drivers out there on $21. Then you get to Jason Bright, 26, James Moffat, 41. So really, Whitey, it's all about those big 4 at the top, but this is quite a gap with Whincup now into $2.10. And for all those punters who like the grudge market, as we call it, Ford v Holden, red v or blue v red, Holden always dominated there. They're $1.63 in from $1.70, and if you like a Ford victory, you can get $2.20. But race 28, he's trying to ice that big V8 cake, Whincup. $2.10 favourite to get the job done.
Not surprising, the money has come in strong and fast for Jamie Whincup. Thank you to Neil Evans from Luxbet. Enjoy your afternoon, mate, as the cars line up in pit lane, getting ready for this long afternoon ahead of us. 67 laps to complete this afternoon. The weather continues to change. The sun is out now. Still a nice stiff breeze, though, coming across Winton. Let's check in with Mark Larkham.
Thank you, Matty. Well, Winton track facts. Now we're at race 28 of 30, only 3 to go. 67 lapper, as you said, 75 litre fuel cell. So we're back from the 120 litre to the 75 litre. That means they're going to get 28 laps around this circuit on a tank of fuel. Makes the critical lap number 11. Now that's 2 pit stops back we'll talk about. That's the earliest you can pit, fill up twice, full to the brim and make it home. Tyres, soft and hard. Now, this is a critical one. You've got 16 soft tyres for this weekend. Some of the guys used 8 of them yesterday. Jamie Whincup got away using 4. Now, just remember that point. Soft tyre life, approximately 20 laps before they fell off the cliff yesterday, but it's a little cooler out here today. We think they might get out to 25 laps. That's also going to be critical. So how's your strategy going to work? Here's our fuel. Here's our 67 laps. Now, the obvious strategy to use today is to start on your hard tyre. We saw a little bit of that yesterday, which did surprise us in yesterday's race. Start on your hard tyre, run him out of fuel, pit once, soft tyre on, pit again, soft tyre on, run home. So what that's doing is giving you this period here of soft tyre, the back end of the race. So why don't you put your soft tyre on here and get some track position? Well, I tell you why, because here, in this period here at Winton, whilst it's a low frequency of safety car in this period of the race, at Winton we see high frequency of safety car here. So if you put a soft tyre on and get an advantage, you get yourself out in front here, you lose it when the safety car comes back and you never get that back again. So that's why you get your hards on and get them off as quick as possible. How quick? Well, you saw yesterday, we got that early safety car and quite a few of the competitors, including Mark Winterbottom, went into the pit lane, got his hard tyres off, put soft tyres on, back out into the pack. Jamie stayed out in front, only used 1 set of soft tyres. That's why he's got another set up his sleeve today. So I just say this today, it's probably maybe reasonably obvious that Jamie Whincup's a serious candidate to win this championship. A guy like him only comes along maybe once every 10 years. Lowndes was probably the last one. Just watch the vision. Watch the in-car vision today. Watch how he feeds the steering wheel on in conjunction with his throttle. For any young go-karter, any aspiring driver, this is remarkable to watch. So that's my tip for the day. Just enjoy and observe Jamie Whincup. The guy is a master.
Yeah, and we saw that yesterday, didn't we, Larko, as he took it from position number 2 on the grid to his 12th race victory of the season. Today he'll be starting from pole position, so it's all waiting ahead of Jamie Whincup to get that title number 4 in the V8 Supercars Championship. We'll take a break from Winton, bring you back as we get ready for a race start.
It's been an unforgettable year of racing. Man and machine pushed to the limit in a pursuit of a championship that means more than any other. And in December, all bets will be off at the grand finale, the Sydney Telstra 500. Don't miss the final Ford versus Holden showdown and the crowning of our 2012 champion. For all your event and ticket information, go to v8supercars.com.au.
This is the 25th time that Winton has hosted the Australian Touring Car Championship or V8 Supercar events. It's always a very popular one. It's a great circuit to watch. You can see all the action unfold in front of your eyes. Trackside. And this afternoon at home, around the country, I think you're in for something special because today Jamie Whincup has enough points if he can hold on to put himself up into the company of some really great names. Bob Jane, Alan Moffat and Jim Richards. The drivers with 4 Drivers' Championships next to their name. Scaife, Gagan and Johnson, those who have done it 5 times. And the most basic scenario mathematically is that if Jamie Whincup finishes 3rd or better, he will have done enough to have the title. There are still a few other things to unfold when we get to the streets of Homebush at Sydney Olympic Park, because then you've got to throw in some penalties possibly that could happen around there. We know that anything can happen, but realistically, this is the day that Whincup can get title number 4. So it's a hard tyre, soft tyre combination again. It's a 67-lap race, 200 kilometres. 60 Ks longer than yesterday.
20, yeah.
And Whincup just getting the final debrief.
Got Shane Van Gisbergen's just pulled up on the grid behind me now. A lot of conjecture this weekend about Shane Van Gisbergen and whether he will or won't be in and around the sport or SPR next year. Obviously this weekend I spent a lot of time hanging around Ross Stone and Shane, spoken to them about it, and understandably, and I think understandably, they just want to get down, focus on today's race, focus on the Sydney 500 importantly in 2 weeks from now, and they said they'll deal with it after that. That's about as much as you're going to get.
Yeah, and that's not surprising, Larko. I mean, it's always a difficult one when that stuff pops up anyway, especially at a race meeting. And like you say, this is heading towards a very complex finish to this championship at the Sydney Telstra 500. By the way, v8supercars.com.au is where you need to go if you want to be part of that great event in a few weeks' time. Brett?
Just jumping in with Jason Bright for a quick chat now. And Brighty, good spot, good qualifying it's been for you so far this weekend. Another good start, 3rd row, good place to be.
Yeah, I think it is. You know, there's the cars in front of us have been pretty dominant this year, so you know we're sort of trying to break into that little group, and you know we have a little bit, but you know they've certainly got some race pace on us as well. We just got to think on our feet today, and hopefully we can you know mix it up with them at the end.
Right, you've given James Moffat a fair spray once again. This has been a theme for the year. Obviously, you two aren't quite seeing eye to eye on the track.
Oh, it's just disappointing, you know. We get told at the driver's briefing that we've got to leave racing room on the Exeter corners, and you know he's driving me off on the dirt everywhere. So, you know, he did it to Will at Sandown. It's disappointing because there's a lot of guys out there that you can race hard against, and I'm sure the fans want to see good, hard racing, not just driving people off the track.
All right, mate, better luck today. All the best, Bridie.
Going to try and dive in here and grab a, just while they're putting the belts on Davey Reynolds there. There you are. Yellow, we talked about hard tyres. There's the yellow. Look for the yellow Dunlop. White means soft tyre, and the majority just walking around here as expected, starting on the hard tyre. Hey, Davey, position 7. Nice qualifying, mate. Probably didn't get the result you were looking for yesterday, but long race today. Bit of strategy. Got your head screwed on?
Yeah, it's always screwed on, isn't it? Sometimes. People would say differently. Yeah, like, I think in qualifying, I think I should have been on the front row or the second row at least, but I think there's a bit of inconsistency in the tyre batches, so you know, when I was on my best set of tyres, I caught my old mate Garth Tander, and you know, we've been heaps of good friends lately. So, but you know, yeah, long race, not too worried. They're actually a bit of a drama. There's a bit of a cool suit drama at the minute, so I'm stressing out maximum now.
And so I guess whilst you sound a little bit negative about that, or a bit disappointed, I should say, mate, the positive is, I guess that we should expect something from you in the race, mate. Your car's obviously quick.
Yeah, my car was real pacey yesterday. We just got stuffed over by the strategy side, but you know, today I put myself a bit further up the field, and you know, as long as I get a good start, I'll be laughing.
All right, good luck today, buddy.
David Reynolds, the Bottle entry, starting from position 7. We'll take a break. We'll come back and get ready to go racing at Winton.
Baby, 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 I know I drive you crazy. MCs know me as my chick. Girls hold on to me tightly. Warm personality, that's why they get close to me. Try their best to drive me while say they want to bet. But shall I go away? They say come back. Why? Why? Because I got it like that. Yeah. Because I got it like that.
Well, this is it, our third last race of the season. Race 28 today with this man, Jamie Whincup, starting on pole position yet again. His 7th pole for the year. And they're the figures. By the way, there's Paul Dumbrell, Bathurst champion with Jamie Whincup. In fact, the last time that Jamie won Bathurst and the championship in the same year was 2008. He's odds on to do it again. So you saw the figures, 28 starters, 67 laps, 200 Ks, and the weather has just settled down a little bit now, sort of gone back towards what we had yesterday, but it is definitely a few degrees cooler, I'd say.
And the track condition has definitely changed, definitely different to the way in which the boys fronted up yesterday. Paul Dumbrell on the right there, Bathurst winner, had a big bucket of greasy chips just before the start of the race. Not what you expect from an athlete. I said, I bet you didn't do that the day before Bathurst. Here's our racetrack, and it's 12 turns, 3 kilometres. And Marcus Marshall, oddly enough, with a different strategy on the softer tyre, was very quick back in 2009. Jammed a lap record up there against his name. Well done, Marcus. And that stands at this point in time. But it's interesting, track condition and lap speed's been a big talking point. And the track got a little washed this morning. That made it a bit faster. And catching up with the behaviour of the cars for those conditions has been the big issue.
Winterbottom, this is going to be some race. Looking ahead, you've got the man who you're trying to wrestle this year's championship off dead ahead. Beside you, Craig Lowndes, the guy you're trying to hold back in 3rd spot. This is going to be on.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, it's going to be a good race. I thought we had the speed yesterday, but it didn't go our way. But yeah, you know, Jamie's obviously got to finish this race in a good position to wrap it up. I've got my own little battle with Lowndes now for 2nd, and Will was trying to race off the front, so it's going to be a good race.
Go get him, Frosty. Have a good one.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, we just showed you on the whiteboard how we thought most would start on the hard tyre. Here's Jamie Whincup on pole, hard tyre. But look here, last minute, Will Davo has just whacked a set of soft tyres on. Fantastic. Let's ask Jamie about that. Mate, this just got interesting. Will Davo, your buddy here, he's going to go for track position here. He whacked some softs on at the last minute. Race on, mate.
Yeah, just race on. He's going to go quick hard. He's counting on no safety car, so if we get a safety car, would be nice this time, actually.
What do you think you can do about throwing a safety car?
No, we don't want a safety car. No one ever wants safety cars, but yeah, there's 3 or 4 different strategies here. There's 2 on the front row, so see how it plays out.
Mate, good luck, because we're really enjoying the way you're driving the car, mate. It's great to watch, so good luck.
Thanks, mate. 200 metres should be interesting. Cheers.
You're not wrong about that, especially with Will Davison on soft tyres next to him. So we understand 3 cars will have soft tyres to start with. It'll be car 6, car 19 of Jono Webb, and car 21 of David Wall. So that's your championship picture. 326 points is the difference right now. If Whincup leaves here this afternoon with a 300-point at least difference, he's pretty much got the title in the bag heading towards Sydney, where the official celebrations will take place. I'm crunching some numbers before about Jamie Whincup, and it's worthwhile spending a little bit of time on this. 266 race starts, 64 V8 Supercar victories. His strike rate is a win every 4 races. It's even more extraordinary when you take out the first 58 races where he didn't win. So since 2006, his strike rate is a victory every 3 races. That's the reason why he's on the verge of his 4th V8 Supercar championship.
It's been a great story of consistency and achievement, hasn't it? Russell Ingall hitting the starter button in the super cheap car. They were making adjustments to that. As I left the garage down there at the rear end, it's got no mid-corner turn up in the slow parts of the track at 7, 8 and 9. So they're trying to correct that. They're throwing darts at the wall a bit there at the moment, just trying to find pace. It's their home test track and it's a bit frustrating. This will be interesting, seeing the way in which these 2 cars race now this afternoon. It'll put Jamie under pressure.
Out they head, so we can take a look at the Fuso start grid. Front row of the grid is two good mates. Will Davison on softs, as we know, starting alongside Jamie Whincup from pole position. So there's Mark Winterbottom tucked in behind him. So it's an all Ford Performance Racing and Team Vodafone front two rows. They have cleaned up this year. Jono Webb and Jason Bright, row 3. Then David Reynolds, position 7. Michael Caruso, car 34. He'll want a better start than yesterday when he ended up in the sand trap. Fabian Coulthard showing good pace this weekend. Lee Holdsworth has already collected a podium. Shane Van Gisbergen and David Wall. That's David's best ever career qualifier. Good on you, David. He'll start from P12. Garth Tanders not overly happy with car 2. James Courtney, his teammate from behind him. James Moffat was so spectacular yesterday. Top 5 finish. We'll see what he can throw out today. Tim Slade and Steve Owen making up our top 20. Rick Kelly, Michael Patrizzi. And then we've got Russell Ingall, as you mentioned. Tim Blanchard continuing this fill-in role to the end of the season at Jack Daniels Racing for car number 7, while Todd Kelly recuperates from surgery. And there is Carl Reindler and Greg Murphy, the Pepsi Max crew. Car number 51, bringing up the rear of the grid.
On board here with Jamie Whincup, tidy up a couple of issues as well. Some points docked from Garth Tander for that little incident with Rick Kelly early in the race yesterday. 25 championship points for careless driving. Quite a lot of other things were investigated, but no breach found. On the subject of Courtney and Tander pace, Garth was saying that really think he's got any huge balance issue. A little bit too much understeer for qualifying. Just overall lack of grip has been the challenge. Jason Brighton, he and his partner Lucy welcome Lennox J, a little baby boy, a couple of weeks ago. So congratulations. That's the reason why he's got that across the top of the visor. You saw in the interview down there on the line with Barrett's. And Garth got a fair dose of food poisoning in between Abu Dhabi and here.
Second row, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine. Stop there. Perfect. Perfect.
So critical drag race to turn 1 here. And extra grip will certainly be handy for Will Davison. Remember, this is the way we saw them face off at Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago. And try as he might, he just couldn't quite get it together. Now he's got a tyre advantage, Will. So this will play out later in the day. Remember, it's 60 k's longer, 200 k's, 67 laps. Okay, mate. Managing fuel and tyres, big story.
For those wondering where Mark Scaife is this afternoon, Scaife's fallen a bit crook overnight, so it's just Crompo and I taking you through this one with the two Marks in pit lane. Is this the day that Jamie Whincup does it again and claims title number 4? He starts from pole position. A very aggressive start from Whincup. Know that Davison's on the soft tyre. Drag down to turn 1. Davison cuts around in front of him and ends up on the dirt on the right-hand side of the circuit. Whincup has to push right over on the left. That was such high risk.
That was wild. Whincup made a long lazy S out of turns 1 and 2 because Will almost outbraked himself into 1, and you saw how much sliding there was. We've got Lee Holdsworth in trouble at turn 3. He'll be at the back of the pack. He's copped an elbow down there in the jostling at turn 2. So that was a wild bit of driving for both. They were playing for keeps, these guys. They might be buddies, but they know how important track position is. Look how many of them are grabbing the curb at 6. Now Will's got the job of having to use up a bit of that tyre and try and grab back the spot, and he will. He'll have a look at turn 11. He's right on him. He's going to be right on him in the braking area at 10. Shane Van Gisbergen. Remember, he was parked in qualifying, and down the inside change for the lead, Will Davison. So he did it a corner earlier than I thought. It's unusual to get away with it at 10, but he made it stick.
So Will on the soft tyre, down to turn 11. Wow, that was a much more aggressive start than you'd think.
They were both a bit lucky, really, because Will could have locked that front.
Good job, mate.
And fired off into the weeds. He just recovered it by modulating the brake pedal, and Jamie had the big power slide out of here. He probably used second gear to get it launched again. It was wild.
So the next man in the queue on soft tyres will be Jonathan Webb. He's currently 6th. There he goes. He's got Michael Caruso behind him, so he'll be the next one to start coming up through the pack.
Remember, the cars are laden with fuel. go out with cold tyres, cold brakes. It's very, very easy to lock a brake, put a mark on a tyre, find yourself wide of the ideal race line. So the mistakes happen. We've had a cleaner start in the first couple of laps today than we did yesterday. There was a fair bit of push and shove.
And I was surprised by the risk factor involved in that start. I mean, it was clear that by the end of lap 1 or thereabouts that Will Davison would be able to have a crack at Jamie Whincup. Now, Will reckons he's got the spot here enough to get in front of Jamie, but... Oh.
Yeah, so he had... What happened was that Jamie had a better initial jump, and then the grip of the tyre fell in favour of Will. Here's another angle here. In the secondary part of the start, he was able to get going. But then, because he's got more grip available and he wanted to be braver on the outside, or he knew he was in strife, he had a dive. The dirty line didn't serve him well at all. Dropped 2 wheels on the dirt. How about on the outside there at turn 2? J-Dub had the full sprint car action going sideways. Now we're on board with Davey Reynolds here, back in the pack, and then goodness knows, there you go, there's the reason why Lee Holdsworth toured the paddock. So he got turned.
Yeah, Matt, and I think that risk that Jamie took in all of that was quite calculated because, you know, although he only held up Will for half a lap, that might be a second and a half. At the other end of this race, if it's a clean race or a green race, that could be extremely valuable.
75% or near enough to it probability of safety car intervention here, and when they do happen historically, they happen in the early part of the race. So now Lowndes is beginning to just sweat up a little on the back of Mark Winterbottom. So this is the battle for 3rd and 4th. Davison, as you would expect, doing very quick sector splits at the moment, and he's got the fastest lap of the race in a 24.9. The job that he's also got is not just about making lap speed. He's got to nurse those tyres. The soft tyre, the Dunlop soft tyre, is good for around about 20-odd laps. If you abuse it, you'll shorten up that window and you're in trouble. It'll hurt the strategy play.
We're just doing a double check, Crompo, on Jonathan Webb, because the timing monitor has now removed the S next to his name, which signifies the soft tyre. So we'll have a look at car 19 and see if the light is illuminated, because by now you'd expect that if he did have the soft tyre, he would have been picking away at a few of those in front of him. In fact, his time is slower than the man in front of him, which is Jason Bright, who is on hard tyres.
And radios up and down the pit lane are explaining that to other drivers now about Webb, because the expectation is that the drivers need to know who they're racing and what their tyre condition is. Here's a replay, super slow-mo up at turn 6 of Jamie Whincup. It's just wild when you see all the stresses and strains through the car here. And look at the front left corner of it and the amount of oscillation in that front left tyre. Remember, the tyre is a part of the suspension movement in the car. As now Kremer has a look up the inside. Oh, that's awkward. Up the inside of Fabian, he gets him out in the weeds. Didn't do him any favours there, and Fabian paid a price, about 3 spots, 4 spots. He's now in a push and shove match with James Moffat, who went quicker in qualifying today than yesterday, but he said everybody just jumped clean over the top of me. We just didn't quite get it together, and Ian Walburn, his engineer.
Track by crew, Matt.
And that was Fabian.
We'll put in a report. There's not much point, so but we've been in.
And that's Phil.
No problem, mate. We'll settle down. We'll get back to you.
Phil Keane on the radio, his engineer, Fabian's engineer, just telling him to stay calm. And you've formerly heard him for many years with Jason Bright.
Can confirm Jonathan Webb is on the hard tyre. Like you say, that information now goes up and down pit lane. So now they know that they're all racing even, because you'd be looking around if you're in that pack around Bright, Webb, Caruso, you'd be waiting for car 19 to strike if you think that he's on the soft tyre. Now their heads are cleared because they've been given the right information. And he grabbed the brake.
I think that might have been Tander having a lunge. He was trying to put a move on Alex Kremer there. I think it was him, but certainly he only just got it stopped at turn 3. This is the fast left-hander in the middle of the circuit where you've got to wait forever with the throttle before you can pick it back up again. Tander looks to the inside. It is a passing spot there, but you do need a bit of cooperation from the guy that you're battling, because it's very easy to have the preceding car turn down on your nose and damage the car.
Kremer's in the thick of this battle again. It was at that part of the circuit yesterday where he made contact with Greg Murphy. Murph ends up with a puncture and went straight into Alex Kremer down at turn 10. Right now, Will Davison has this race lead. Just 6 laps completed so far, so we're halfway through lap 7 here at Winton out of 67 in total. Will Davison has a 5-second lead, trying to make the most of this different strategy that he's playing to the rest of the field down to position 13. So it's Will on the soft tyre, and then the next guy on the list on the soft is David Wall in position 14. The other is Michael Patrizzi in 19.
It's curious to look at the numbers in the gap between Will Davison and Jamie Whincup at the moment. So they're working lap number 7, and it's a 5-second lead. So you can pretty quickly conclude that it's about an 0.8 of a second margin that he's enjoyed in the run so far. You can see that gap, quite obvious on screen, but it's diminishing already. So 25.1, 1 minute 25.1 last lap for Will Davison, and 1 minute 25.9 for Jamie Whincup. So on that lap, it was a 25.18 Will, 25.99 for Jamie. So they've still held about the same sort of margin. The previous lap had actually narrowed up a little bit. He might have had a little mistake as Shane Van Gisbergen comes in now. Imagine he'll be getting off the hard tyre.
Yeah, Shane Van Gisbergen coming down the pit lane. He's going to get off the hard tyre as a result of events yesterday. Like Jamie Whincup, he's actually got an extra set of soft tyres. So for them now comes a 3-stop strategy, but all soft tyres all the way home. We get a safety car. This could work for them.
It's got a little clout in the left rear corner there too, Larko. It doesn't look too bad, but certainly it's had a whack in the push and shove that goes on in the early part of the race. So that's the control line where the 40k electronic pit lane speed limiter is released. Michael Patrizzi down the inside. Someone's in trouble. I can hear, yeah, Fabian. You can hear the tyres protesting in the background. So did he get a shove is the question. And I reckon you'll find the answer to that is most likely yes.
Exactly the same part of the circuit where he got a push from Alex Premer before. This time
dear.
It's David Wall.
It's his teammate. That's what the radio message was. Awesome work.
Just replayed that. Pretty happy. But anyway,
so Phil, yeah, but anyway, so Phil's a bit lost for words there. That'll
anyway, nothing more to say.
A fairly serious humour bypass in the Brad Jones Racing garage at the moment.
I reckon you're right about that. A couple of laps back, the difference between Davison and Whincup, there must have been a little blemish along the way there for Will, because he's now stretched the lead back to further out to 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, I may have jumped the queue a little bit there in telling that story, because it has stabilised a bit in favour of Will once again, so he must have had an ordinary lap. Alex Premer sliding that car a lot at the moment, and Tander's going to take advantage of this. If there's too much more of the sliding going on, he'll know precisely what that body language means. Alex has had a pretty fraught run. He'd be desperate at the moment to put on a good showing. Is Richard Holway, engineer in that team. He was a senior engineer with Mark Skate for many years. He was involved in the Holden racing team. Very clever man. He worked with Brad Jones Racing in the early days as well in the Audi program. He's been coaching Alex a lot through this season, and we've seen some tremendous practice performances, the odd strong qualifying and the odd race here and there that he's been able to stitch it together, but it's typically in the second or even the third year when you come to the category where you begin to understand the requirement. Cars are very, very tricky to drive.
Well, Brad Jones, it's always a sign when you walk in the garage and you see the team boss's head go down and that interaction between two drivers. That was not good for Dave Wall, who's up till now had not a bad weekend.
Well, Dave's had a fantastic weekend. Qualifying 12th, you know, we decided to put him on soft tyres so he could move forward a little bit or maintain his position well. And you know, one rule we have is not to make contact with the other car in the team, and we've got 3 cars in the team, and it's just unfortunate that that David probably got in a little bit too deep and tagged the back of Fabian. And so anyway, we'll see what happens from here.
I can tell you what's going to happen. He's got a pit lane penalty, Brad, which is not good news either.
No, that's not good news.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks.
Yeah, so race director Tim Schenken just sending that one out on the race management channel while we're in the conversation with BJ. And that's the appropriate response. There was a time where we went through this, in my view, silly phase where if it was within a team, if it was inter-team, it was regarded as being not a transgression. I don't think that's right. The rules are the rules, and so it's being seen as a mistake. And I'm sure David thinks that as well. I have absolutely no doubt that he'll get out and say to Fabian later in the race, later in the day, I should say, I'm sorry, and that was a mistake. James Moffat's done a pretty reasonable job here too, because that's who we're looking from at the moment, looking from his rear bumper and now out the front of that Norton car. So he's up to 12th from 16th. So that's a good performance. And I was going to say a little bit earlier in the broadcast that his engineer Ian Walburn said that it was just a question of not quite reading the day. He said the shower of rain trapped me. So the reason he's feeding that information back, bleeding fuel, the sucrogen bioethanol, down at the rate of about 2 kilos a lap, and there's the penalty for David.
The white was going to go down the inside all the time. And just, yeah, anyway.
So that's the back end of the apology we're catching there. There's handed through on Prema. So he got it done at turn 3, and James Courtney looking to try and take an advantage there as well. So the way in which Team Vodafone and Ford Performance Racing have kept up with the track condition today has been interesting. Grant McPherson had a view on that. He didn't make a huge number of changes to Will's car. They really missed it yesterday. Tander really battled to pull that car up. Turn 7 then. But they made a few subtle changes today, and look at Will's performance in qualifying. Very, very strong. You wouldn't think that just a little bit more rubber on the surface or a little wash of water would make that much difference to the lap speed and the car behaviour, but it does on this track, which is noted for having a real personality.
Just watching closely Alex Prema there, who's in 10th. We saw him get overtaken by Garth Tander. He qualified 14th. He really is attacking this race. Blue ride with Mark Winterbottom. That's where he coughed and spluttered yesterday, and Lee Holdsworth went past him in a flash to get the final spot on the podium. Extraordinary way to finish Frosty's day. That's where Jamie Whincup got loose at the start of this race. This is turn 3. Really love this part of the circuit, Crompo. 4. That's Whincup up ahead. Turn 5 becomes 6. This is where Fabian Coulthard got spun around by David Wall.
You can see from that little graphic that went up there as well how much of this is done in second gear. So remember, the cars have got somewhere up around the 630, 640 horsepower. They don't have a huge amount of aero. Certainly on a track like this where the speeds are down, there's very little in the way of aero benefit being generated. So there's a real premium on mechanical grip and modulating your right foot, organising yourself and organising the car in a way that doesn't heat up those rear tyres and basically burn them up. It's very, very important. So here's another one, turn 11, second gear. It's 85 kilometres an hour in the middle. They get back to 120 in the short shoot, and then again it's back down to about 80 k's.
And then what's
It's a little strategy briefing at Team Vodafone as to how they're going to play and what the expectation is, and then into turn 1, approaching from 225 kilometres an hour. Apex at 1, it's 115. Apex at 2, it's 130 k's, I should say. Doesn't look like it through the screen. It's 190 kilometres an hour on the braking approach to turn 3. There's Greg Murphy. Had that puncture yesterday, and on Friday some brake trauma in the Pepsi Max entry.
Surfs up to 21st from 28th. No breach of rules is the outcome of the investigation into the contact between cars 33 and 4 on the opening lap.
Yeah, so that was down between turns 3 and 4. And that saw Lee Holdsworth out in the paddock and lost a heap of spots. He's down in 24th at the moment. Some of it just ends up being unavoidable. It's the old 3 into 1 doesn't go, especially when you end up on the dirty side of the road here. There's a very distinct racing line. Tony Delberto in the background here, so we're looking rearward from Greg Murphy's car. These guys 21st and 2nd in the field. Just even tell from the position of where Greg's car is right there. It's not going where he wants it to be. It's same here at turn 9. There's Lee, 24th. It's Tim Blanchard he's chasing. He's just in front of Carl Reindler in his 3rd chassis this season. Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago. Incident for him, turn 17, that resulted in fire and a lot of subsequent damage. Tim Slade's got a battle on his hands with Russell Ingall.
Tim Blanchard has got Lee Holdsworth sweating all over the rear of him. I had a chat with Murph just after qualifying. It's the classic, hands in the air, don't know what's going on trick. I said, it's not as though you haven't done many laps around here.
Well, for some of them now, they've the development has ceased because the focus is on bringing the new cars on for next year. They're just trying to adjust what they've got as best they can to try and be as competitive as possible. It's a bit of a challenge. This man on the screen at the moment is last, not through performance, but they brought him in early and took him off the hard tyre. He's now done 6 laps on the soft tyre. He's running around quite quickly at the moment. We'll see whether or not that gives them a game later in the day.
That strategy window is now opening. So 13 laps completed, now 14 for our leader, Will Davison, who has a gap now over Jamie Whincup that is over 10 seconds.
And his last lap, Matt, was a 1:25.7 versus a 1:26.1 for Whincup. So it's a 0.4 of a second difference, and Moffat's in strike here.
So James Moffat was about 13th at this stage, and he's not going anywhere fast. In fact, he's taken it off course, and we'll have to park it down there at turn 11.
I wonder whether this will trigger a safety car. Windows open.
Safety car boards and flanks, safety car boards and flanks, safety car standby. We have a car. Stop, turn left, left side, turn 11. Just hold safety car.
Now we're going to see people pit as a result of this. Now, hang on. He's underway again. That's it. Well, the safety car was on standby. I don't know whether it had actually been deployed.
Am I going through SPR or not?
Tim Slade.
All clear, stop, all clear.
And the answer to that is no. So he had to go round.
Safety cars, safety cars.
They have actually scrambled the safety car now. So what's happened there with James Moffat is a mystery. So the Nissan GTR, which wasn't running yesterday, the Peters STP safety car, has gone onto the circuit. You can see the lights are flashing. The SC boards are being displayed. They've committed to bring Will Davison in. And coming with him is Jamie Whincup. Someone was having a big moment on the arrival in the pit lane there now because of the move.
So that was 14 laps completed on those softs. And another set going on.
Yeah, and let's hope this doesn't work against Mark Winterbottom here, because as a result of putting Will out, no, it's not. They were ready for a double stack, but they've just got around it. Well done.
So that was Will in the background, gone. Remember, he had
on the radio so far. We're clear.
He had 10 seconds, remember, a little over 10 seconds margin. Double stacking for Lowndes. Didn't hurt him too much, but any time is tough, but it's the lesser of the two evils.
Just 4 cold tyres. Cars coming past now.
Look at Steve Owen having to also cue Steve Fiore going. In front of him, Taz Douglas.
It's Jono Webb tucked in behind David Reynolds on exit.
So Michael Patrizzi stayed out there. He's now the leader of the race.
Just peek out. So Garth Tander, 12th spot. So a safety car that didn't really get to impact much out on the circuit has certainly caused a lot of changes in pit lane. Welcome back. Well, the game has changed here. The whole field on soft tyres now. Pettis' safety car is still in control. They're crunching the numbers, changing the strategies. Will Davison at the front of the field. Michael Patrizzi's actually at the front of the field, but he elected not to stop. This is a bit lively coming out of pit lane. Dean Fiore and Alex Prema. So that's Michael Patrizzi. So he didn't stop. Will Davison did and put another set of soft tyres on. Jamie Whincup also in the softs. A lot of them did. And look at Will pouncing straight away at the restart. Up to turn 1. Oh, he has to lock it up, and he makes contact with Patrizzi.
And this is going to be an invitation for Whincup. He's got to run on him here. Damage on the front right-hand corner, and this is contact between two guys that don't need to be in this. Don't need this paddle rubbing this early on. Whincup's down the inside. Davison hangs on. Remember, Whincup's now on soft tyres. And now pulls it down tight because, oh, when Will runs wide, drops a spot. Unbelievable.
So Whincup slides through. Winterbottom holds third. He was under pressure from Shane Van Gisbergen. That's Jason Brighton, Michael Caruso banging panels behind them. And Michael Patrizzi as well, as Patrizzi goes around. Loud somehow misses him on the left-hand side of the circuit. And car 91 has to watch the world go by.
So tipped out from the lead of the race and shuffled down the order, and then ultimately off the road for Michael Patrizzi. And it's an angry pack that was following him. Damage on the right rear corner of that Fujitsu car there, as you can see as well. That might also require attention. 34, Michael Caruso, and in fact the race control have actually flagged now that they'll take a look at that.
This isn't done with yet either, because Garth Tander is mauling the back of Craig Lowndes' car. And now Jono Webb has a look on the inside of Tander at turn 1. That was much cleaner. Use the curb, accelerates out at 2 up the hill. Gets that position. Webb to 9th. Here's Caruso. That's David Reynolds.
Twice in this race now, Matt, that we've seen Whincup and Davison prepared to go to the brink. Both very, very close to having a big drama.
On the approach to turn 3, when Davison and Whincup came together, there was a little skid. And I reckon that there was a heartbeat skid too for Whincup, because it was just enough to unsettle car number 1. They decided to go on with it. And watch this on the restart. So this is on board Will Davison, who is clearly going to make contact with Michael Patrizzi, who goes off, just misses the little Marshall Tower there. And then this is the dangerous one. Watch this. There's enough of a bump there. And it continued down here to turn 4. There's pushing and shoving going on the right-hand side, and then this is the view from Mark Winterbottom. You'll see that Will goes too deep, can't pull it up.
Well, this one gives you the best view of all of this. Now watch what happens down here, and Will tries to close the gap down. Jamie's got enough of it up there that he forces the issue. Bang, bang again on the run down the hill to 4. Tried to give each other space. And then it was on here because Will was pinched tight, made it understeer in the middle of the corner, and the crisscross straight under him. And on the radio subsequent to this, Will's very angry, very frustrated.
And I wonder how Roland Dane's going in the Team Vodafone garage. Watching his number 1 man being involved in this at, what, lap 19, lap 18 or 19 of this 67-lap race. As the cars get lift-off time. So they've been battling at it from the very start of this race.
Yeah, and Matty, irrespective of what Roland Dane thinks, isn't that what we love about Jamie Whincup, mate? He's not prepared to come second. He's a champion because he has a preparedness to attack like that. He put it on the line there, mate. That was fantastic. Will Davidson, we talked about it at the head of the show. Worst thing that could have happened for him starting on soft tyres was a reasonably early safety car. Lost that advantage. Remember, he's now got to put hard tyres on the back end of the race. Jamie Whincup sitting down here, I can tell he's got a brand new set of softs.
Guys, we won't know what shut down James Moffat's car in the back straight. Basically, it stopped. He hit the reset button. He restarted the car, and it's been fine ever since.
Yeah, and he actually pulled it right off the road. It looked like it was game over. We caught the back end of some radio conversation there, and then next minute we see him back on. And at that stage, race control had already called the safety car. Can't undo that. And forced everybody into the lane, and a quick strategy change for a bunch of them. Changed the order, though, didn't it? Shuffled things up.
And as Larko mentioned, it erased all the good work and the strategy play that they did in car number 6. It was over 10 seconds, the lead that Davison had on Whincup. Not only does that vanish, but he also will have to go to the hard tyres at the back end of the race. And Fabian Coulthard, Alex Premer.
That's a bit of payback. Just remember up at the top of the circuit earlier, and there's Premer again in an incident.
There's Taz Douglas. A little whack.
Ooh, need to grab the brake there, because if you go across the road, catch another car on the left side.
It's just some days and some weekends where you're a complete magnet for trouble, and it's been that way all weekend for Alex Prema, who's now down in 25th spot.
He's finding himself in awkward situations, and what happens is that the business early in the race didn't serve him well. So really Fabian returned the serve when they came off turn 12 with his engineer Richard Holway, and once he was then out of step and out of phase, loses his rhythm a little bit, that's when all this other stuff happens, and it only took another quarter of a lap, and next minute he's in the paddock again.
Rhythm is what Whincup will be looking for now. So history came to the fore again there with the safety car coming out really the front end of this race. It's happened again, and certainly changed things up. Now, can Whincup get in the rhythm? Will Davison go with him? What about Mark Winterbottom sitting there in third?
Yeah, just to put a little full stop on Brett's comments there about Moffat turning the car off. Just so you know, these cars don't have a key at home like your conventional Commodore or a Falcon. There is no key up on the column there. They have a great big master switch often, which is real near the console area of the car, and it is easy when you're going for an anti-roll bar or a brake bias adjuster, depending on what you're doing, to actually bump the thing off. So not like your car at home, and probably nothing like your little 50cc scooter, Matty. I think you kick her over, don't you? No key on that.
I look at it and it starts.
Taz Douglas is getting a black flag for pit lane drive-through penalty for the rub with Alex Prema in car 33, so expect to see the iSelect Holden Commodore do a tour of pit lane. There he is, just peeling off now. So it's a 1 second gap, Whincup Davison. Winterbottom in position 3, Shane Van Gisbergen. That strategy's helped him to get in the play now. He's fourth. An interesting phase of this race here at Winton.
Welcome back to Winton. Hope you're enjoying the V8 Supercar Championship on 7 Sport. Third last race in 2012. Sydney Telstra 500 will be our final stop, but focus here in pit lane. So this is Jamie Whincup up on the jacks.
That's going to be a problem for him, because this has been a hot debate through the course of the year. Wheel spinning, and it's in the supplementary regulations during any pit stop. From the time the car leaves the ground until it returns to the ground, it is not permitted to have the clutch engaged to cause the rear wheels to rotate unless they've been given prior permission. Now this will cause a stir. This will be a stink. You watch. And the boys down at FPR, they'll be trying to make sure they can pin this one. So get set for some fireworks here.
Reaction was
flag and a pit lane drive-through penalty for car 1. Black flag and a pit lane drive-through penalty for car 1 for a pit stop infringement.
The reaction was instantaneous, I was about to say, from race control, and the decision was not far behind it. So
okay, mate, we have a drive-through. We have a drive-through for spinning the wheels in the stop. So let's do it this lap. Thank you.
There you go. Critical moment in the championship chase. Wheels spinning while on the jacks in pit. Jamie Whincup will have to come through pit lane. He leads the race by 2.4 seconds.
And it takes 36 seconds to enter transit and depart the pit lane. Now that's going to put him back in about 25th position or thereabouts once he's two of the lane. So that'll be goodbye to anything in the top part of the field. And there's a change for position here because Winterbottom's now in front of Davison. So I didn't spot that while we were focused on the wheel spinning. So Mark Winterbottom now P2. That'll be Johnson around. Steve Johnson rotating here. And Tony D'Alberto having to dive round the outside in that process. So that's Alex Prema involved, according to Stephen Johnson. So, again, reiterating, this man will serve a drive-through penalty, wheel spin, as the car was being returned to the road. That's going to add a good 36-odd seconds to where he sits at the moment. That's going to drop him back to about 25th or 6th. Ford Performance Racing, I would assume, have immediately addressed that by switching their cars around and giving the maximum points to Mark Winterbottom. He's gone up to the lead in the race now, and here's the penalty being served by Whincup.
There you go, mate. So no stress. We'll we'll get back out there. You'll be coming out in a bit of traffic. You had excellent pace. Car life will be good. So we'll cruise on and see how we go, brother.
It's the only glitch so far in Jamie Whincup's weekend. Mark
Bit of a gap
Duncan.
he can slot into now. Should be a bit of a gap. Other cars behind. Eyes forward.
Mark Duncan walked out to the pit wall there, and you saw Jamie Whincup come behind him in pit lane. And this is what's happened at Ford Performance Racing, where Will Davison will allow Mark Winterbottom to go on past and now take over the lead of the race. And I can tell you, with Winterbottom now in position 1 and Jamie Whincup in position 22, at the moment the championship point score difference is under 300. It's 215 points. That's not enough for Whincup to secure the title today.
Just have team principal down here, Roland Dane. Roland, we know that rule. It did look like the wheel was spinning. So one, you're going to cop that one on the chin, and two, how do you recover from that now?
Yeah, you do the crime, you serve the time. I'm afraid that's patently obvious. So saw it in the pit stop there and thought it would come back and bite us. So it has. And now it's a question of just trying to be smart. If there's a strategic option at some stage in the race, safety car wise, to take it. A couple of tricks that you can play to get yourself further back up. But the main thing is just to go fast.
We'll watch that with interest, because going fast he certainly is. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
So remember, coming into this race, Jamie Whincup had a 326-point lead over Mark Winterbottom. He held on to that. He leads here with his 4th driver's title. Right now, it's gone to 215 points. He needs to find another 85 by the end of the day. So it's a rescue mission from here on in. There it is. Provisionally, as it stands now, would expect, of course, Whincup to move up through the field, and every position he makes, those points will be added.
Now, shoes on the other foot. This is yesterday only the teams flipped around. Now it's Jamie Whincup who's got to deal with all the traffic and all the things that delivers and all the random possibilities. He's got a lot of work on his plate at the moment. He's 21st and he's now 26.5 seconds off the lead of the race, and his arch enemy Winterbottom is the leader.
Looking from David Reynolds' car back to Craig Lowndes, positions 5 and 6. Our race leader here is Mark Winterbottom by 2 seconds over Will Davison. Shane Van Gisbergen is 3rd, Jason Bright is 4th, and then we find this Langley pack here of, like I say, Reynolds and Lowndes. Now Jamie Whincup has moved up to 20th position. If Mark Winterbottom continues at the front of the field, all the way to the checkered flag, to be able to say that he can mathematically claim this championship today, Whincup needs to get up to 3rd. So that's Whincup's mission.
A couple of other things to observe here. Shane Van Gisbergen's position 3 at the moment. But remember, he came in on lap 7, jump onto the soft tyres. He's coming up to the end of his fuel load now. He might get out to about lap 35. We're on lap 31. So Van Gisbergen due in the not too distant future. And I caught the last bit of a radio message from Mark Winterbottom. It sounded to me, and I might be misinterpreting, as though he said the engine was running on a little bit in the braking areas, and that was hampering his lap speed. Campbell Little assuring him it's okay. Not sure that I've got the story totally straight, but there's something that's unsettling Mark Winterbottom at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that for you.
Extraordinary turn of events, Crompo. And what a difference from yesterday to today.
And one of the things that these guys at Vodafone have been very good at doing for a long time now is micromanaging all those tiny little things that tended to trap the other players. And today, one of them has trapped them. It's just, you know, it's an instinctive thing. You sense you're coming into the stop, you whack the thing in first gear, you get ready to launch. In the current rule environment, they don't want any crew members' hands anywhere near the back of the car when the wheels are rotating. That rule was implemented. It was refined because it wasn't quite right early on. There was a lot of conjecture attached to it. Now it's really been etched in stone. There is no escape if you do it. Look at Lowndes. Big attack on Davey Reynolds. If your wheels spin during the pit stop and the car's elevated, you're in strife.
Now, you mentioned a possible engine problem for Mark Winterbottom. Just talking to Tim Edwards, he's flat spotted a tyre from locking up earlier on, and they suspect that's what he's feeling.
Thanks for the update. Look at this. Lowndes is showing signs now of being frustrated, and he's on the attack. He's up, over, around. He's really needling the back of David Reynolds. Not too far adrift is Slade there, and Caruso's in that. And in fact, they've jumped around a spot. So Slade's climbed over Michael Caruso down the inside. Lowndes at 10, done. So that's a good job. It's not an easy thing to do. I've seen a few of them this weekend, and very rarely can you get down the inside there.
Remember, Craig Lowndes made up 13 spots yesterday to finish behind his teammate in second. And there's Whincup, now 19th. Got to keep a cool head.
Look at this.
And isn't this interesting, Matty, because, I mean, just rewind to Sydney in previous years, Jamie Whincup.
Oh, off the road, David Reynolds, and Tim Slade gives him a nudge. Sorry, Larko, we'll come back to it. So that was brewing. Lowndes gets the advantage there. Reynolds came off second best. He's dropped to 8th. Lowndes, Bright, Slade, Caruso, Reynolds. This is an angry pack. Slade's on the move.
He's on the charge, isn't he? The lucky 7 racer. And his next target is Jason Bright. He's trying to do it on the outside here.
Oh, look at this.
On the inside, and Caruso's going to go with him as well around turn 9. Meanwhile, it's Jono Webb and Craig Lowndes, or is it Patrizzi? He's out of sequence.
So Lowndes is really forging on here. He's cleared all that traffic now, so now he's got a little bit of fresh air. And remember that Van Gisbergen's coming up to a stop. Look at this. Here's the replay down at turn 3. And Tim gets underneath David Reynolds, a little hip and shoulder, sends him to the weeds. And then that triggered another sequence of changes between turns 4 and 5 as well. Here's another angle. Bang. Got to stay off control, recover it, and then your tyres are filthy. It takes forever to get them all cleaned up again. Here's another shot from the inside. Slade was well up. Gets the move. I don't think he'll be penalised for that one. He was a long way up the inside. Now Bright's in, because you can see how much he was struggling. So those tyres have fallen off the performance cliff.
Okay, we've got a clear pit lane. Go, go, go. Fuel, please. 0 the fuel.
Other thing that Aaron Noonan's just observed here is providing a bit of analysis for us as well, as remember that cars 47 and 55, Slade and Reynolds, share the pit boom, and track position gives you pit lane priority, and that's worth a fight for.
Hell of a way to get it. Back after the break here at Winton. We're on lap 36 out of 67 this afternoon, and Craig Lowndes is really on the move. Now he goes up into second position, getting past Will Davison. Mark Winterbottom's our race leader. He's 5 seconds further up the road.
And that's real pace from Lowndes. They both came in on the same lap to grab the tyres. Lowndes looks strong, so this consistency thing for Vodafone's working well. And his teammate Jamie Whincup's 13th at the moment. He continues his march forward. Now, what they're doing also at SP Tools with Shane Van Gisbergen, who's currently 4th, his tyres are 8 laps older than these guys, but they're desperately trying to stretch him to get his fuel into a position where they can fuel it once to get it home to about lap 38, 39. His teammate Tim Slade arguing big time here. Now, I don't know whether they're going to be able to lean it off and run it that far, but they'll be running it to fumes to try and get him to a position where it's just one fill to home.
Keep his call there. He should be pitting pretty soon anyway, but you've got much better tyres.
Yeah, so 8 laps older. And down, well, I was going to say the inside's not done yet, because he's actually going to force this one big time. So he stays, holds position, stays in position 4, Slade 5th, Caruso 6th, then Dave Reynolds from that little excursion next, then Jonathan Webb, Russell Ingles having a good run, Dean Fiore is 10th. James Courtney came in for a stop. Here's his teammate Garth Tander, and Courtney's very quick out there at the moment. Very fast sector splits, and I think the fastest lap of the race.
Good to go, good to go.
And Slade's now pushing on the bumper of Van Gisbergen. He's had enough. He knows that he's got tyre grip advantage over his teammate, so he's giving him a shove to help. He might get a little return here, so no love lost here between these two guys. Gizzy's trying to escort him off the road here. Now, Shane's being a little bit naughty here.
It's playing into the hands of Michael Caruso.
Yeah, I reckon he's in this lap in 9, but along the way here, he's holding up this next crew of cars. And the problem is when your car's that slow relative to those around you, this is when you're vulnerable to a whack. Now Slade's down the inside, and Shane's probably prepared to give it up because he's going to have to come in, I think, and he is. But he fought pretty hard to the end there. I'm not sure about the wisdom of that, but he got away with it.
And he uses the dirt on approach into pit lane, so Slade, Caruso, and probably Reynolds, who was also watching that, will be glad to see Shane Van Gisbergen out of that picture.
Matty, following that Jamie Whincup incident as Shane Van Gisbergen comes in, I just want to show you how difficult it is about this rule. So when the car goes up and they put this back tyre on, off comes this one, on goes that one. Now, the car's up in the air. Now, he'll want to put that in gear. See it just go, see it spin a little bit as he engaged in gear. But he'll be holding a line locker or a handbrake to stop that rotating. It can't rotate till he hits the deck. Now, I'm a bit surprised why Jamie didn't do that. But what you want to try and do is obviously get it in gear, have your foot on the clutch, so when it hits a deck, you can go. So if you've got a little handbrake or a line locker, a thing that actually locks the rear brake, stops it from spinning.
Good explanation. Thanks, Larko. And just for clarity there, there's no problem when you engage the car from neutral to first because it will move the back wheels. It's the spinning, the full rotation of the wheel that is the issue that they're trying to clamp down on. So tyres on this thing will light him back up again. Remember, he's a little bit out of sequence. They brought him in early on lap 7, Shane Van Gisbergen. James Moffat continue his march forward here as well. He's got a little bit of pace in this car, it seems. He's on the back of Rick Kelly now. These guys are battling for 13th and 14th. James down the inside at 10. 1:26.3 for Winterbottom. Lowndes is really racing, 25.5. He's 8/10ths quicker on the last lap. And Will Davison's fallen off the cliff in lap speed. Whincup's back in, by the way. So Davison 27 even. So Lowndes just outstanding in his lap speed performance by comparison to both the Ford Performance Racing cars. And here's J Dub.
Yes, yep. Hey, Neil, have a look at this, mate. This is the only set. I just walked the whole pit lane. Brand new green soft tyre. Only one plentiful set in the whole pit lane. This is going to be great to watch the back up.
Yeah, there's a ton of grip in those.
Thanks, Polly. All wheels are done. Just waiting on the fuel.
It's the first gear engagement. And they offer up a big pile of grip. Nice green grippy tyres, as you said, Larko. Not a driver out there that doesn't love a new race tyre.
Coming out in fresh air. 4 cold tyres, 4 green cold tyres. Fresh air.
And to put a little bit of logic into that chat about the rear wheel spinning in the pit stop, if you look at the design of the wheel and all the mechanics got their fingers in around there, there's obviously a little bit of an OH&S issue, so that's why they do it.
Absolutely. I mean, this business that was going on at the beginning of the year as Lowndes now peels off from a very rapid stint in this car, very consistent, 25.5 that last lap.
Whoa, Taz Douglas.
Yeah, so seeing those cars when they were just lighting them up and dropping them, rotating, that was horrifying and counter to what's gone on in pit lanes for many years. But people have begun to find an advantage out of it. They'll do it, so it had to be stopped.
So Craig Lowndes got the lead differential down to about 3.5, just under 4 seconds between him and Mark Winterbottom.
Nothing in pit lane. You'll be good to go once you drop you. Good to go.
He had really good speed in those last 5 laps. Relative to Winterbottom and Davison, he looked very, very strong. And he's now trying to make further advantage by getting onto new grippy tyres and further eroding the margin that Winterbottom and Davison have got. So I expect that these guys in the Ford Performance Racing cars, Orcon and Trading Post cars, will probably react to this.
And what it means for Whincup, he has to do 29 laps on that set of soft tyres.
Here we go in. So they are. So that they can't afford to lose in this battle with Lowndes, who is on fire at the moment, and they lost a bit of ground in the last 4 or 5 minutes. They've actually lost a bit of ground to Lowndes.
I got you there, mate. I got you loud and clear. Listen, you got a nice straight run in. Nice straight run in.
Yeah, Matty, good observation, that 29 laps for Whincup, because, 20 laps was about what we got yesterday. Bit cooler today. We thought about 25. Now, let me ask you, mate, if you were going to ask anyone in the pit lane to do 29 laps on a set of soft tyres, who would that be?
Exactly.
He's your man, isn't he? But we said earlier, the strategy here for them, they've got to do well here, because Jamie does not want to go to Sydney and get involved in a mess down there like he had in the past, fighting for a championship.
So there's your soft tyres on Frosty's car. Here's Tim Slade. Remember this shared boom that we made mention of before.
Mirror, help that wheel.
Leaves Will Davison in the lead. Right rear wheels giving grief.
Right rear, waiting on right.
Rejoin here for Winterbottom in front of Jason Bright.
That'll prove really costly for Tim Slade.
Oh, and Brighty having a dive down the inside. Frosty tried to cover. And it's a big dive bomb. He knows that if he can actually get in front of him, this is critical for Winterbottom, because this is going to hurt for a while. This is going to hurt, even though he's got brand new tyres and pace. Losing that spot could be critical in the battle with Lowndes.
So Bright pounces, and there's Lowndes.
Yeah. Bright stopping on 33, so already a little bite out of these tyres, and he'll fight very hard to hold his position here. He won't give a written invitation to Mark Winterbottom, I doubt. So that will then make Craig Lowndes even more likely to attack the back of Mark Winterbottom.
Will Davison has entered pit lane. That means that Jono Webb is the leader on the circuit. Russell Ingall is in second after starting from 23rd.
And remember, the different strategy for Ford Performance Racing means that it now falls to them to use the hard tyre for Will Davison.
Should be right.
Now, will this play back in their hands?
Go.
Late in the tyre stint for those that are on the softs, who are potentially hurting at the back end. Lowndes has done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:24.5. I'm really looking forward to this battle. This will be fascinating. Frosty all over the back of his old teammate Jason Bright, having a look, and look at Lowndes. So Lowndes got a benefit from getting on those soft new tyres early, and he was coming at the latter part of the previous stint. He's within a car length of Mark Winterbottom, and this is the joker in the pack, the spoiler for Team Vodafone. If they can get Lowndes to muddy the water for Mark Winterbottom, it helps the Jamie Whincup cause.
Whincup's target is podium. He can get on the podium, he will have done enough. And that attack from Jason Bright on Mark Winterbottom couldn't have come at a worse time in terms of Ford Performance Racing than when it did. Because like you say, it brought Craig Lowndes straight up into the picture, and now he is breathing heavily. On the back of the fastest lap of the race, he's done the fastest second sector time.
Whincup, meantime, is 15th in the race, and the message here inside the Ford Performance Racing bunker will be, who are you racing? Are you racing Craig Lowndes, or are you racing Jamie Whincup? Because they've got to make a decision here about how they go about this. Do you have a fight to the death with Frosty? With Craig Lowndes? So it's an interesting question, because there's also not only a championship, but second in this battle as well. Sorry, just intercepting another message here, distracting me. So car 17, Stephen Johnson exceeding the pit lane speed limit. Yeah, so if you're down at FPR at the moment, you're not only trying to win a championship, you're also trying to get the best result in that championship. It just happens that these two cars on screen at the moment are currently vying in that second, third position, as well as the big picture of somebody trying to grab a championship out of this. And on the numbers we're seeing at the moment, Jamie Whincup's going to have to continue his quest all the way through to Sydney.
If Winterbottom wins today, Jamie has to finish third. If Winterbottom finishes second today, Jamie just has to finish fourth. So that's what's at play here.
I asked Craig about his qualifying yesterday and just his qualifying general, and he said, look, certainly up to a certain proportion of the lap to about turn 7, turn 8, I was looking okay, but he said I didn't get the most out of the last part of the lap, and I just overdrove it. And he said you can't afford to give away too much around here, but as a race car, he's really happy with it.
Neil, here's the answer to the question of the race so far. Tim Edwards, boss of Ford Performance Racing, says they are racing Craig Lowndes.
Okay, thanks for that. Well, that's an interesting one. So That means that Frosty will be prepared to get the elbows up high here if he senses that there's an attack on. It's interesting, Bright's cleared out a bit here and he's on older tyres. That'll be partially due to the fact that Mark Winterbottom's got to keep one eye on Craig Lowndes and it's distracting. And he's also in the hot, dirty air of the Jason Bright car.
That's official for Stevie Johnson. He'll have to service pit lane for exceeding the speed limit in there. This battle royale continues between cars 5 and 888. Well, here at Winton on this Sunday afternoon, Craig Lowndes is pushing so hard. He has now got past Mark Winterbottom up into second position. Here's how he did it just a minute or so ago. He telegraphed it there and delivered it here.
He crisscrossed him and Mark Winterbottom just lost him in the mirrors for the moment. He wouldn't have expected him to do that. Craig was very close up at turns 8 and 9, and there it is from the rear bumper of Mark Winterbottom's car. Craig down the inside, cleanly through, just foiled him down there. He's got car pace at the moment, so it was probably a foregone conclusion that it ultimately was going to happen. Now, Jason Bright has got a 1.1 second lead over Craig Lowndes at the moment. On hard tyres, we see Will Davison there. He's battling with Tim Slade. Remember, Slade was held up slightly with the right rear wheel problem in the stop. Tim's got the soft tyre on and shoots up the inside. That's for position 8.
Yeah, and Neil, wasn't that just a copybook move by Lowndes? He didn't flood around his back door, no contact, pulled in, committed himself, got the job done. Nice.
And he jinked to the right initially, which gave Frosty the indication when he would have glimpsed the mirror, he thinks, OK, he's out on the wide line. And then as Mark would have gone back to focusing on his downshift and turn in, all of a sudden the other things arrived down the inside when he changed line. It was a nice job. And he certainly made it stick very well.
So on our championship tracker, Jamie Whincup in 11th spot, Mark Winterbottom in 3rd on the road. The difference right now is 269. The magic figure for Jamie Whincup today is 300.
21 laps remaining, excellent pace. Keep it clean, keep it safe, brother.
Mark Dutton and Jamie's in behind James Courtney here at turn 1. Jamie's currently 11th. The bigger part of the story here is he's 24.7 seconds from the lead of the car race. Now, when he gets James, as I expected he will at some point, interestingly, the next in the process for him is Will Davison. So it reignites the battle that started at the start of the race.
But Will's the only guy out there on hard tyres. He's the only guy out there who wants this race to go longer, not shorter.
Yeah, so we'll watch the speed, the relative speed between them. Remember that we've been talking about the fact that the softs, here goes Jamie, down the inside, not too tough. In fact, James Courtney made it pretty easy for him. Talked about the fact that the soft tyre's got a performance range of around about 20-odd laps ideally, but we're asking them in this final stint of the race in most cases to do more than that. And that's what Ford Performance Racing will be gambling on with Will Davison in 9th place, that this race may come back to them. Here's the battle for the lead. Bright, 25.3. Lowndes, 25.0. 0.3 of a second faster on that lap. Winterbottom did a 25.1. It's officially half a second between these two. Good to see Bright in amongst it as he was 12 months ago in the Team BOC entry.
That was his last race win here on the Sunday last year.
It's funny that turn 5's a very unusual corner. It's shaped, the nature of it, and then what comes next. You've got to fiddle around with the throttle a fair bit. We'll show you the air gaps here. Bright, Lowndes, Winterbottom, and then it's daylight all the way back to Fabian Coulthard, who's had a pretty busy race. But strategically, Brad Jones Racing and the Lockwood entry, they've been able to sneak him up there. Then Tander, been a bit busy on the radio just in the recent past. Shane Van Gisbergen, a little bit out of sequence. Good strategy, though, has kept him in the play today. Then David Reynolds, Tim Slade, Will Davison, and here is Jamie Whincup. That's what the 25-second margin looks like. In fact, it's opened up slightly, hasn't it?
So Whincup now right on the rear of car 6. And given that Whincup's on the soft tyre, Will's on the hard, it shouldn't be too long before Jamie is in position to have a crack, and maybe that's the case too for Craig Lowndes on Jason Bright. Officially, it's 0.5 of a second. Both got the lights on. Both of these guys, in fact, Mark Winterbottom as well, done a mountain of laps at this circuit.
Both identical lap times then, Bright and Lowndes. 1 minute 25.3 for both of them. And in fact, you can include in that remark Mark Winterbottom, all three of them only separated by thousandths of a second. So this is a real pressure game on between the three of them here at the moment. What Craig's got to be super careful of here is using too much of the rear tyre to try and put a pass on Jason Bright. He'll be acutely aware of this and spinning up those rears in all the second gear corners.
Whincup has got past Will Davison as expected, so Jamie Whincup up to 9th. Here's the move.
Relatively easy to do with the disparity between the tyre performance. Will is on the hard, Jamie's on the soft. Easily done at turn 10. Second gear left-hander opposite the pit lane. Back to the lead.
The difference now in the championship, 281 points. He's edging closer to that magical 300 mark. Under 20 laps remaining here in race 28 of the season. Two tireless campaigners in Jason Bright and Craig Lowndes at the front of the field.
So remember just that point that you made a bit earlier, that Jamie's got to do 29 laps on this fuel load. So that'll be another thing to call into question at the end, because he came in earlier than the other guys. 29 laps on the fuel load and also on this tyre set.
Lowndes has won here at Winton 3 times. Bright has 4 victories at this circuit. As I mentioned, they've done so many laps around here over the years.
Remember that Brighton's also just a little bit out of stop sequence with these guys as well. Be one of the reasons why Lowndes doesn't need to go too silly. So we're expecting to see Bright shortly. His last stop was lap 30. Come back to that. Yeah, lap 33. Yep, sorry.
You think about it, Crompo. Jason Bright debuted 1997, 407 V8 Supercar races, now making 408. Craig Lowndes debuted a year earlier, 468 races. And here they are, all these years later, at this same circuit. And Lowndes is just waiting and waiting to put a move. His old sparring partner, he's got the glasses on, and he comes into pit lane. So that frees up car 888.
So they've changed the control line for the pit entry this year, so let's see how hard they're racing at the line.
10% throttle in pit lane, please. Don't forget, no spinning of the wheels while during the stop. No spinning the wheels during the stop.
Overshot slightly. That was Chris Clark, the team manager, on the radio.
Go, 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 go.
So he's got a shorter stint on these tyres. And we'll see car 14 in here shortly as well.
So Craig Lowndes leads this race. The big question is, can Jamie Whincup get up towards the podium and knock off title number 4? Garth Tander enters pit lane with 15 laps to go. The 28th race, the third last race of our season. That means Shane Van Gisbergen goes up to 3rd, Reynolds to 4th, and Tim Slade to 5th. Craig Lowndes is the race leader by 1.6 seconds over Mark Winterbottom. Jamie Whincup is 6th, with Winterbottom sitting in 2nd. If Whincup can get to 4th by the end of today, he'll have done enough. Get this though, Neil. If Jamie finishes 5th, he'll be 1 point shy. It'll be a 299-point difference going to Sydney.
It's interesting to note that Tander, David Reynolds having a bit of trouble pulling that thing up there at turn 7. Both the Brad Jones racing cars of Fabian Coulthard and also Jason Bright, together with Garth Tander, 3 stopping, so therefore a 4-stint race for them. Brad mentioned earlier today that they may do that with Bright. What they're doing is a little bit of the strategy they used last year to be very effective. So this is Jonathan Webb marching up on Will Davison here. Remember, Will's on the harder tyre. This will be hurting him at the moment. He'll feel like he's not racing at all as 10th. These blokes that are on screen at the moment, Reynolds and Slade are 4th and 5th. So remember last year, good strategy for Bright and young tyres late in the race. I mean, for example, if we got a safety car now and you're on a young soft tyre, you'll be very, very racy. That's what they're banking on. Now we're starting to hear the messages going out to the key runners here as well about caution, be careful with the tyres. So we're getting into that point in the afternoon where you can't afford to be thrashing, looking for every last tenth of lap speed because you'll use too much tyre in the process.
So 2.1 seconds is the difference between Lowndes and Winterbottom. It's a very big gap back to these guys. 16 seconds further back, in fact, to Van Gisbergen. A little bit unsettled on approach there for David Reynolds. But it brings him right up in view of the SP Tools sign on the rear wing of the Kiwi. And Tim Slade, another one in the thick of the action today. Now Whincup is 5 seconds further back from car 47.
Courtney's just been in and out, by the way. David looks like he's got quite a bit of pace on him at the moment, doesn't he? So Van Gisbergen in on lap 37. So older tyres, and Reynolds in on lap 39, so a couple of laps older than the guy that he's racing, but just doesn't look quite as strong in this phase of the race, Van Gisbergen.
Body language just tells you that Reynolds is confident enough to have a crack soon enough. So up towards turn 3. It's been a long, exhausting and emotional weekend already for Shane Van Gisbergen. He's been in the headlines, he's been in the rumours. We don't know what his future holds. We haven't been able to crack through to the bottom of that story. It will unfold, no question, as we head towards the real silly season and the final 2 races. So they remain the same in positions 3, 4 and 5. Craig Lowndes stretches his lead at the front of the field. Can Whincup make up another 2 spots and get closer to that 4th title? Take you ad-free all the way to the completion of this race now. With 11 laps remaining, Craig Lowndes is the leader by about 4 seconds from Mark Winterbottom. Shane Van Gisbergen now has Tim Slade on his hammer. We thought that Reynolds was prepared to pounce on Van Gisbergen. In fact, it was Slade who pounced on Reynolds.
Remember, this reignites the battle of the teammates here between Van Gisbergen and Slade as well. If you're watching our broadcast earlier, you saw these two getting together. Shane had a different strategy. They brought him in earlier in the race to get him on his soft tyres. He's not happy with the balance of the car at the moment. Slade, I think, is a little quicker, but he's got to be able to make it stick. Here's the move. This is the reason why Slade is now attacking Van Gisbergen, because he was able to go underneath David Reynolds between turns 6 and 7. Meantime, Courtney's very fast after his stop, and so is Jason Bright. Remember, 3 stopping for Jason Bright. Very young tyres. He's a long way off anything notable in the front end of the field at the moment, but he's coming at him like a train, so we'll just keep a bit of an eye on Bright as things progress.
And in terms of the championship, this is where it stands. Whincup is 6th, Winterbottom is 2nd. Jamie Whincup needs to get to position 4 to make sure that he's 300 points clear of Mark Winterbottom at the end of the day. He's currently under 3 seconds back from David Reynolds. There he is. So he's got now 10 laps to make up 2 spots, and he has now done 20 laps on those soft tyres.
So he's at the critical point now, so we've got to watch his lap speed. Here's Bright that I spoke of a few moments ago, apologies. He's 10th. His last lap was in the mid-24s. He's like 2 and 3 seconds faster than everybody around him at the moment. And last year they were very sharp with their strategy play at BOC. So it's a 200, as Mike Kelp is right, it's a 290-point gap as things freeze at the moment with Winterbottom P2 and Whincup in position 6. Everyone's got their calculators out thinking about what it all means, but currently it goes to the Sydney Telstra 500 in 2 weeks' time.
Correct. And if he gets past David Reynolds and doesn't go any further, Jamie Whincup I'm talking about, it'll just be 1 point that he would have needed. It would be a 299-point difference, but let's see how it plays out. Lowndes continues to push away at the front of the field. Slade now getting close enough to have a look at turn 3 on Van Gisbergen. Craig Lowndes has won 3 races at this circuit, but yet to win here in a Holden.
Hearing a chorus of drivers saying no grip. So there's a shock, and they're being told, you know, 9 laps to go. So that's not what you want to hear when you've hit the whinge button.
Guy I'm really keen to talk to, Mark Dutton, Jamie Whincup's engineer. Dutto, you and I both know you've got to get him up to 4th spot. You don't want to go to Sydney without it in the bag. Can you do it?
Yeah, I think if anyone can do it, Jamie can do it. That said, Sydney being grand final is always good fun.
Yeah, but it hasn't been good. You know the pressure. You know things go wrong when that happens. So it'd be nice to tidy it up here today, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would, but we've obviously got a score to settle in Sydney. We've, I think it's one of the few ones, if not the only, that we haven't won. So I want to right that wrong.
Good luck, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Good attitude. There's the man. It's Jamie Whincup. That's his boy. Mark Dutton with Mark Larkham. He's 6th at the moment, Jamie Whincup. He's chasing David Reynolds. Here's our race leader with a 4.7 second margin. It's been a nice job this weekend from a bit of an average qualifying show for Craig Lowndes, but racing yesterday very strong. 1-2 for Team Vodafone. Another great showing again today. But I hasten to add, we are in the phase of the race where you're going to need to be a little bit of a magician to try and make the tyres survive to the end. Now, Lowndes got enough of a cushion. He should be able to do that.
Craig Lowndes' last win of the season came at Sandown when he partnered with Warren Luff to win the 500. His last individual race win was at Eastern Creek. So since then, since being on the podium at Bathurst, it hasn't been a great run for car Triple Eight. So now Whincup is a second away from David Reynolds, so a second away from 5th place. He has to get past him, of course.
Thing to just keep in the back of your mind with all this, Matt, if you just refer to a little earlier in the race when I talked about Van Gisbergen and their strategy play. Remember, they were trying in that battle when he was fighting to the death with Tim Slade, and we see he was trying to get to that point where they could fill it up once and get it home. They had to bring him in on lap 37 because it was out of fuel. That's a little less than ideal, so he'll be driving to a fuel number at the moment, meaning that just as it was yesterday for Mark Winterbottom, Shane Van Gisbergen today, his speed will be a little compromised by the fact that he's probably running pretty lean at the moment. This is on board Bright. That's what grip does for you at turn 11.
That puts Jason up into position 8.
He's going to be a real pest for a few of these guys because it's not impossible here.
Next target is Webb. He's the guy that's got the best tyres in the top 10, so he might be a little bit harder, but he's considered 26.
So it's interesting they talk targets, and look at Whincup up the inside. That's for position 5. That's important.
That's very important because it means if he can get one more spot, he's in the right spot championship-wise. But remember, Jason Bright is also coming behind them as well.
And he's 8 seconds behind Whincup, and he could be the spoiler in the pack here. Whincup position 5, Bright position 8. Bright's got speed to burn. You can see him through the sweeper in the background. Meantime, Van Gisbergen driving to a fuel numbers, being attacked by the Lucky 7 pilot, Tim Slade. Remember, this boiled over into a little frustration earlier in the race when ultimately Shane came in for some fuel and another set of tyres. These guys battling for 3rd and 4th at the moment.
Look at that, provisional championship points. 299 is now the difference. So Jamie Whincup needs to get one more point in the bank. He'll be hoping that Slade and Van Gisbergen trip over each other. On lap 62, out of 67.
6 to go, P5, you have the pace, great driving.
Time's starting to run down on them. Laps are starting to disappear. And these tyres will be starting to feel very ordinary at this stage. And let's not forget that Jason Bright is coming quickly.
And they're driving to a fuel number. That message that you heard the back end of with Shane Van Gisbergen was definitely about fuel. And so Van Gisbergen's vulnerable here. He's in 3rd at the moment. He's got Slade and Whincup breathing. Bright 8th. It's 6 seconds between Bright and Whincup. And there's nothing that Slade can do at the moment. He's tried every move in the book, but he just can't climb over Shane Van Gisbergen. If he can't get a wriggle on shortly, Whincup is going to pounce.
What about all that excess rubber on the outside line of this circuit, especially around turn 7? It's flicking up there. Goes again, left and right. The view from Whincup, that's the spot that he wants.
This is not a bad recovery considering he's two of the pit lane. Move, turn 10, this is awkward. Slade leaves space, that's critical. Position 4 for Whincup. Final points for him in the quest for the championship of 2012.
That's a title-defining move, that one. Because that puts Jamie Whincup now 300-plus points clear of Mark Winterbottom. 308 points is the difference. He needs to hold that spot to the end of this race. Another 5 laps. It'll feel like a lifetime around this 3-kilometre circuit.
Right, still 6 seconds behind Jamie Whincup. He's 8th. No sign of him there in the background. And behind Whincup at Slade, Reynolds, Webb, and then Jason Bright. Meantime, Craig Lowndes out now to 6.2 seconds. He's just starting to roll off the pace. Here he is. He's all over the back. That's the reason why the gap's stabilised, because he's tucked up underneath Jonathan Webb at the moment. Remember, a little bit of ag between these guys after Abu Dhabi. No love lost there.
And Whincup and Team Vodafone know that Bright's coming. Therefore, Whincup will be wanting to get this position done as well. We know that 4th is good enough at the moment, but he'll want to make sure of it. Now he goes again, and up to 3rd. Whincup goes. A podium spot, just for a little bit more of a guarantee.
And that was Jeremy making sure with Craig Lowndes that just look after the tyres, make sure we get to the end, was his message. Big fight back here for Whincup.
4 laps remaining. C3, great driving, red.
There's Bright. So his next target will be David Reynolds. And Tim Slade now resumes this battle with Shane Van Gisbergen. So that's the difference, championship point-wise, 317.
It was interesting that the body language here also, Van Gisbergen actually sat up high at turn 10 and essentially allowed Whincup through. He's not done that with Tim Slade, been anything but.
Check out all that rubber, Neil. It's just all over the place, look at it.
Yeah, the offline is terrible, isn't it? So if you get forced wide at the moment, it's a real drama. Now, Bright got clear of Jonathan Webb, by the way. He's 7th, and he's 3 seconds behind Jamie Whincup. 4 laps remaining. There he is. So clear of Jonathan Webb. Don't know that it's going to be enough. There's that next batch of cars. And Gisbergen's been the cork in the bottle here for the lucky 7 car. He just can't clear him, Tim Slade, as we go back to the leader. 6.3 seconds at 27.9. Very slow. Walking wounded in lap speed. 27.9 also for Mark Winterbottom. They'll feel like they're driving around in the wet out there at the moment. Remember, they qualify here typically and they run in 22s and 3s when they've got a bit of grip.
So Craig Lowndes won his first race at this circuit in 2006, and then he did a clean sweep weekend in 2009.
Is there a problem here for Van Gisbergen? So is that delaminating a little bit of the front right tyre, or what else is it? Can't quite see what that was. So a bit of a drama here for Van Gisbergen late in the day. What is that? Something else, there's a little bit of guard, I think, or a little bit of the inner guard, maybe even a sticker. If it was a tyre, the car wouldn't be doing the lap speed it is at the moment. Yeah, bit of the liner from the inner guard, perhaps. Anyway, he's doing everything he can at the moment to hold his spot. Look at Bright. Bright's grabbed another. He's got David Reynolds. He's now 6th. He's 20 seconds from the lead of the race. He's just 2 seconds from Jamie Whincup.
Whincup is pushing on.
He needs to, because the way Bright's going at the moment, he might displace him.
There'll be nothing left on these tyres when they get it.
To go, mate. Eyes forward.
So 2 more laps. Mark Dutton pushing on his charge.
whatever it was on Van Gisbergen's car just came adrift. It was a 27.4 for him. Whincup's all of a sudden found a pile of pace. He's done a 25.5.
He's 2 seconds faster.
On this lap, so that's just all of a sudden unleashed a pile of speed. And consider that he stopped on lap 38. He's asking a tyre set to do 29 laps. Well, he's completely gazumped the notion that you'll only get 20-odd laps of good speed out of a soft tyre. So they've got pace to burn in that car.
That was always going to be the big question, wasn't it? When he came in, when he had to, and we looked at it and went, hang on a second, at the back end of this race here, when he really needs to start picking guys off, how ordinary are the tyres going to be? Well, they're not going to be in great shape, but Jamie Whincup is showing on the timesheets that he's squeezing maximum life out of these at the exact moment that it matters. Jason Bright on Tim Slade. Van Gisbergen is doing an amazing job to hold off and stay in 4th position.
It's a well-focused run here for Shane Van Gisbergen. He's concentrated. He hasn't locked a brake and fallen off the road or reacted negatively to any of this pressure. He's done a very, very solid job under fire.
So with 1 lap to go, the last time around, Craig Lowndes did a 1:28. Mark Winterbottom did a 1:28. Jamie Whincup did a 1:25.5.
Where that pace can be coming from, that's amazing, isn't it?
So Slade under attack, continues to be so from Jason Bright. But this won't be enough, because this will mean that not only Craig Lowndes get his 88th career victory, but Jamie Whincup is right on course to be our V8 Supercar champion yet again.
And on target for 35 consecutive wins either between Team Vodafone or Ford Performance Racing, as Bright has a big lunge at Tim Slade. Had to get up on the curbing, launched it up on 2 wheels, didn't get it done. This is turn 9. He's under him now, but what that does is put him on the awkward side of the road when they get down to turn 10. However, if he stays there, he's better positioned for the next corner. Bring it home, Matt.
Well, that's exactly what Craig Lowndes has done in typical Lowndes style. They've got a lot to celebrate today. Victory for Lowndes.
Thanks, JJ. Bloody awesome.
2nd for Mark Winterbottom. 3rd for Jamie Whincup, and title number 4 to one of the modern day greats.
We got there, they can't get us off the podium. Nice work.
Shane Van Gisbergen holds down position 4, and Tim Slade in 5. And you want to see how far this rubber can go? Lowndes is going to put it to the test. Now will join Bob Jane, Alan Moffat and Jim Richards as the 3 men to have won 4 Australian Touring Car Championship or V8 Supercar titles. The names of Scaife, Gagan and Johnson are those only that are above them on 5. The 4th time that Lowndes has won at this circuit.
See where he's going.
It's the 6th time that he's won this year. And that's an enormous sigh of relief for Team Vodafone in the championship sense, because I'm here to tell you they did not want to go to the concrete line, crazy streets of the Sydney Telstra 500 and try and win this championship.
And I said after the drive-through that I didn't think it was possible for Whincup to be on the podium. That was 100% wrong. Whincup got on the podium to make it Team Vodafone 1 and 3, so you can only do that with sheer speed. And the lap speed that he showed at the back end of that race was dead set amazing.
And Mark Winterbottom did everything he could today to keep that fight going. At the end of all this, it will be a 317-point gap, so there's still 300 points on offer at the Sydney Telstra 500. They won't make it official until the end of our Sunday race there, because there still could be some penalties, but this is Jamie Whincup's day. Let's run you through some highlights so you'll remember that it was a different strategy at play here. Will Davison started on the soft tyre, but He went too hard too early, in fact, and it allowed Jamie Whincup to go shooting off to the lead, and shooting off was what happened to Lee Holdsworth. Got a nudge from Alex Premer. Davison and Whincup really fought this. This was critical. Spinning the wheels while up on the jacks, and that would force Jamie Whincup to go through pit lane, serve the penalty, and come out at the back of the field. Techno Autosports spun around. They were bumping and bashing everywhere. Alex Premer was like a punching bag at times. And with Jamie Whincup circulating through pit lane, they decided at Ford Performance Racing to give Mark Winterbottom that opportunity to get to the front here. They took a deep breath at Team Vodafone, started focusing back on getting car number 1 up towards the podium. Meanwhile, Craig Lowndes was just mowing them down. He was in a real purple patch of form, and this little battle between these guys flared up again. And then Whincup was on the move. He was asked to do 29 laps on the soft tyre. Yesterday, by the time they got to just past 20, they were no good. But he certainly eked that out. And up to the winners step will be Craig Lowndes. So 6th victory of 2012. He played a very important part. Jeremy Moore and Lowndes' embrace. I'd like to get a ticket to the Team Vodafone party tonight.
Nice strong comeback there for Lowndes. He's been through a drought period in the recent past, but this is the man.
And he is celebrating too. Craig Lowndes, congratulations. Great racing. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. I think that, can I say that stacking really is bad, but it's one of those things, obviously, to have two fast cars and up the front, it's always difficult, but it's a shame for Jamie. But look, you know, fantastic to JJ and my guys and all the team and Team Vodafone. It's really been hard. It's, you know, this weekend has been something that we've been building for, and look, it's just a great feeling.
You enjoy it, Lowndes. See you on the podium. Well done.
Thanks. Say hello to Levi and Chili at home.
Let's get around to see Mark Winterbottom. A courageous effort this weekend. Frosty, great result getting on the podium in 2nd spot. It's been a hard slog this weekend.
Yeah, it has. You know, yesterday we had a very good car. Today I thought the car was quite good as well, but something went a bit funny in the steering, so you just try and hang on. Wasn't doing what you wanted to do, but you got to survive, and you know, full credit to these guys. They did a great job, but we'll fight back. 2 weeks' time, we'll try and finish the year off strong.
Bring it on. Great effort. Well done, Frosty.
Thanks, mate. Done.
And Jamie Whincup, boy, that has got to go down as one of the great drives of your career.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, we did it the hard way today. That spinning in the pits thing, it's a bit of a wanker rule, but at the end of the day, I broke the rules, deserved the penalty. So, yeah, hey, we did it the hard way, but mathematically, everything took them pretty good, but with the potential losing points, we're just going to keep going hard and to right up to the last lap of the last race.
You have a championship lead of 317 points. It is effectively done. Do you celebrate?
No, we're going to bottle it, of course. We've got a lot to celebrate this year, and yeah, there's still an opportunity to lose points at Sydney, so we're just going to bottle it all, and fingers crossed things go smoothly there, and we're going to have a big celebration after that.
Well done, Jamie. A super year. Let's uncork some champagne.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Cheers.
So if you're in any doubt about how tough it was out there today, just have a look at Jason Bright. Seriously, that is soaking wet all the way down. I kid you not, soaking wet down there as well, mate. Tough day, Brighty.
Yeah, it was. Cool suit didn't work, so made it a little bit harder than what it should have been. But car was great. Car was, you know, really good. We sort of made a very big improvement from yesterday's race pace, and a little bit disappointed about that safety car. You know, the strategy we were on, I reckon we could have given it a pretty good shake there, but. You know, really happy the guys have done a great job this weekend.
All right, mate, it was a fast car. We look forward to a great performance at Sydney in a couple of weeks.
It'll be good. Cheers.
Jason Bright finishes 6th. Let's get to the podium there. Standing by, Bretts.
Matty, Winton Motor Raceway podium presentation for race 28 of our year. Would you please congratulate our winner from Team Vodafone, Craig Lowndes. In 2nd place from Orcon Steel, FPR Ford, Mark Winterbottom. And in 3rd place, Team Vodafone's Jamie Whincup. Representing the winning team, Team Vodafone, is Jeremy Moore. And now making the presentation to 3rd place is the manager of Telstra Shepparton, Paul Sultana. Presenting to second place is the Director of Petters Bendigo, Grant Phillips. And making the presentation to the winning team is Australia's first bloke and patron of the Australian Men's Shed Association, Tim Matheson. And presenting our winning trophy, the Operations Manager V8 Supercars for Dunlop, Kevin Fitzsimmons. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 Winton Motor Raceway Race 28 winners.
So there you go, Craig Lowndes on the top step of the podium for the first time since Sandown this year, for the fourth time at this circuit, the first time he's done it in a Holden Commodore. And interesting that Team Vodafone will not celebrate this championship winning performance from Jamie Whincup until it's absolutely certain at the end of the Sydney Telstra 500. So 317 points is the difference. And there we have it. It will be a grand finale, 30th of November through to 2nd of December. v8supercars.com.au is where you need to go for all your telecast times, entertainment information. If you're in Sydney or you're heading towards Sydney on that weekend, be a part of it. It's one of our great events, the Sydney Telstra 500. So Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes have plenty of reason to celebrate tonight as we wrap up our 28th race of the season. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time to finish it off in season 2012, the V8 Supercars on 7.